This video explains Agile, as it is understood and used in 2020. To get there though, we first need to understand why it exists, which is going to require some time travel. Let's start in 1970. When the Jackson 5 had their first #1 hit. The Beatles released Let It Be. This guy was president in the US. In computing, well, it looked like this. Dr. Winston Royce released a paper called Managing the Development of Large Software Systems, which would go on to inform the Waterfall method of development. Waterfall, which forms the basis of what is also known as traditional project management, starts by gathering all of the requirements that the project will need to satisfy. These requirements, once completed, flow into the next stage, designing a solution that delivers the requirements. This design is then passed on to the next stage, implementation. Once a system has been built, the implementation is handed over to be verified or compared against the requirements. A verified solution is then handed over to a business as usual group who will maintain the solution for the rest of its life. The core assumption made by Waterfall is that it's possible to know up front what you need a new system to do, completely and in detail. That assumption, unfortunately, is almost invariably false, leading to projects that often fail, wasting hundreds of billions of dollars worldwide every single year. Waterfall's success rate is low, too low to be used as a default approach to solving complex problems. But what's the alternative? Well, by the 1990s, several different, and yet also similar, approaches had begun to gather momentum. In 2001, practitioners of waterfall alternatives gathered together in Utah to ratify a set of principles and values that they all shared. The general consensus of the summit was that each of the phases of Waterfall had merit, but that, if the project was to be successful, it was necessary to do each of them much more often than just once per project. This led to the creation of the Agile Manifesto, a set of values and principles that teams could use to guide them as they set about creating things that didn't exist and solving seemingly impossible problems. The original values, while simple, are also often misinterpreted, so it's worth going through them one by one. Let's start with individuals and interactions between them are valued over processes and tools. Processes and tools likely still have value. The key here is that individuals and interactions between them are assumed to be more valuable. Working software? Actually, since 2001, we largely say working stuff here, as Agile has come to be used in lots of different situations, not just software development. So working stuff is considered to be more valuable than comprehensive documentation. We still document, sometimes even comprehensively, but our assumption is that a working thing is more valuable than a description of what a thing might one day be. Customer collaboration is more important than contract negotiation. Agile contracts are a whole thing by themselves, and we're not going to go into that here, except to say that we keep it simple and we make sure that everyone's focused on achieving the same outcome. Responding to change is more important than following a plan. We still plan. We plan every day in an Agile world, but we also accept that the plan can and must change as we learn more about the true nature of our reality, which gives us a slightly modified set of 4 Agile values that can be used for everything from making software to baking a cake and, well, pretty much everything in between. The 4 Agile values are supported by a set of 12 principles. Like the values, they were originally written with software development as their context. Like the values, they're super applicable to non-software things too, so Agile practitioners tend to slightly tweak them. Let's go through them. Our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of, well, let's just say value. It could be software, it could be something else. The point is, we get it out there and in the hands of customers quickly so they can get value from it and we can learn more about it. Welcome changing requirements, even late in development. Agile processes harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. This is the exact opposite of traditional approaches which resist change and force the customer to jump through hoops should they want something different to what they asked for. In Agile, we seek out and embrace change. Deliver working software. Deliver value frequently, from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, with a preference for the shorter timescale. Some organizations deliver value to their customers a lot more often than that, but speed is not our only objective. Business people and developers, actually let's just tweak even that. Let's put developers in air quotes, as in the people who are making stuff. The people who are making stuff must work together daily with the business throughout the project. This is a big deal. Creating stuff isn't something that happens for or even to the business. It needs to happen with it. The people making the change should be embedded with the people who will be affected by the change. Only then do they have a real chance of building the right thing in the right way. Build projects around motivated individuals. Give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. People want to do the right thing. Make sure the system that is built around them enables them to do that, and then just get out of their way. The most efficient and effective means of conveying information to and within a team is face-to-face communication. That's why teams that are using Agile spend a lot of time in the same space, often talking near a whiteboard. It's just better. The worst method of communication? Text. Emails and documents are terrible at conveying information. Use them sparingly. Working software? No. Usable stuff is the primary measure of progress. There's no box ticking in an Agile project. We have a sketch of a thing, then a prototype of a thing, then a skeleton of a thing, then a small version of a thing, and so on. The point being, there's always something you can look at. You can poke it with a stick and get a feel for it. Not a stack of text or a report that says we're on track to make a thing one day. Agile processes promote sustainable development. The sponsors, developers, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. It turns out that working people into the ground sucks for everybody involved, and it slows you down. Just don't do it. Continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. That means that sometimes we need to pause adding stuff and even rewrite the things we previously made to better leverage the knowledge we've gained since we wrote it. Simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done, is essential. Keep everything simple. Check you need it. Check you still need it. Throw it away even if you love it, if it's not required or not valuable. Start with a simple, safe path and release that. Add complexity only when you absolutely have to. The best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. The team is where the information is. They know the system, they understand its potential, and they can see how customers are using it. Give them as much control over how the system is developed as possible if you want it to work, be performant, and in the hands of customers as soon as possible. At regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. They look at the product itself, understanding where it's at versus where they think it should be at, and they look at how they work together, noticing things that work well, and identifying experiments they should make to determine what could or should be improved next. Which takes us back to the slightly modified version of the 12 principles of Agile, tweaked only to make it clearer that Agile's not just about software development. Okay, let's do some more time travel. This time we're zooming forward all the way to 2015. Modern Agile was created to either support or replace the existing Agile Manifesto, depending on your needs. Let's take a look at its 4 principles. Deliver value continuously, not once, not eventually, but regularly and until interest, money, or patience run out. Keep delivering valuable stuff. Make safety a prerequisite. Not just people's data and whatnot, but their psychological safety too. It's not just the morally right thing to do, it's also the way to unlock high performance. It's the ultimate win-win. Experiment and learn rapidly. We learn by doing, and if our assumptions are wrong, we need to learn that as soon as possible. Keep in mind the previous principle though, if people aren't safe to experiment, they won't. If they don't experiment, they won't learn, and if they don't learn, you're in for a world of hurt. Make people awesome. The making of, paying for, and using the thing that is your product or service should delight everyone involved. People should feel valued and connected. We should not only understand what stops people feeling awesome, we should be actively eliminating that stuff and replacing it with awesomeness. And that's it. It's that simple. If you measure your activity and intent against modern Agile, you'll see how and where you can improve. Another great piece of modern Agile thinking is the book Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck. Carol compares fixed and growth mindsets, showing how the way that we look at the world massively affects our potential, much more so than whatever random attributes we just happen to be born with. Agile people are lifelong learners, never content with the status quo, always interested to find out more. They follow a simple loop, made famous by the early Agile thinker William Edwards Deming, in which a small amount of planning is followed by doing that which was planned. Results of the work done are checked, and, based on what's observed, the process is updated and planning recommences. This loop, repeated over and over, leads to continuous improvement, no matter the circumstances, situation, or the kind of work being undertaken. Releasing things, even pre-production things, to users as often as possible keeps releases small, which makes them easy, and it lets your customers start taking advantage of their value quickly. Agile projects fail. All projects will have some sort of failure rate. But Agile is much more likely to lead to success than Waterfall is. There are lots of different frameworks and models that add specificity to agility. Of these, Scrum is the most common, but bits and pieces of most of these models are in common usage around the world today. It is worth pointing out, though, that all models are wrong, but some of them are useful. Try to understand why each model includes each specific component. You might find success by maybe swapping one bit out for another, for example, but that will likely only be true if you understand how the model works. If you remember the values and principles, you'll be able to leverage them to take advantage of new situations and new opportunities. Finally, remember to inspect and adapt to what you observe on a regular cadence. If you do, you'll find your way from where you are to where you want to go, even if you don't know where that is yet. If you have any questions about any of this, please feel free to leave a comment. Thanks for watching.